your place to unwind.
Come out and join members of the West Virginia University Mountaineers baseball program as they come to the Eastern Panhandle to host a traveling camp June 13th at Oakesdale Park, home of Martinsburg Little League. This camp will feature fundamental skills in hitting, infield, catching, pitching, and base running. It runs from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. on Wednesday, June 13th. Cost is $50 per player, and you will be able to register at wvucamps.com. Again, that's wvucamps.com.
Talk Radio WRNR studios. It's time for Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob Mario and David Welch.
Thank you, Cliff. Good morning and welcome to the program. This segment of Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave is brought to you by Miller Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Route 9 east of Martinsburg, home of a lifetime powertrain warranty. Good morning, Davey.
Good morning to you. And I don't know, yesterday, it doesn't seem like Monday should be here already because I think I got robbed of my weekend.
Why? What happened?
Well, Saturday was just kind of blah, rainy. And then the day we get out and kind of get out in the sun and work in the yard yesterday, Sunday, and all of a sudden it's Monday again. So, psychological thing, I guess.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. I'll get through it.
Tell you what I'm going to do.
I'm strong and resilient.
Here's what I'm going to do for you.
Yeah.
This upcoming weekend, take a 3-day weekend. We're going to extend the weekend to Tuesday for you. And
okay.
Heck, for everybody else. I don't want to seem like I'm playing favorites. Take Monday as a holiday. And I would extend that to just about everybody in our audience.
Just because Rob says so. There might be a holiday in there somewhere.
If you're upset, then I don't want you unhappy.
Well, I'm not upset and I'm not unhappy. In fact, I'm thrilled to be with you this morning.
If you feel like you got jobbed out of an extra day on the weekend, next weekend I'm going to make it up to you.
Well, I don't feel that way, so no need to give me the day off. I'll be happy to come in and work on Monday.
No, take it off.
Okay.
I insist.
All right. Well, do.
I'm going to shut county government down, too.
Twist my arm. Oh, really? County and city.
Federal?
Federal? You're going to do the whole thing.
I'm getting everybody money.
You're going for the whole thing.
Everybody.
And so what, on Memorial Day, shouldn't we get out and do something like Memorial Day-ish, besides go get a new mattress?
You can go to the pancake breakfast.
You could do that.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good event.
Yeah, it's good for everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Get out, support the park.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
More about that later this week.
I like that idea.
With Mike Height.
Today is my son's birthday.
Happy birthday, Andrew.
Andrew is 33 years old today.
Oh, like the Rolling Rock bottle.
Yeah, I want to do a shout out to Andrew. Unfortunately, I won't get to see him on his birthday, but I'll give him a call today. He's out traveling somewhere.
Want to welcome in our viewers right now on Comcast Cable Channel 10, and if you're watching the replay of the show on YouTube, WRNR TV channel on YouTube, we post the replay of the show so you can watch it at any point along the way. And for whatever reason, you and I are constantly overmodulated on YouTube, so I'm turning our mics down a little bit more this morning.
Okay. Now, will that affect the broadcast in any way?
I don't think it will.
Okay. I think you and I are overmodulated anyway.
We're louder than Matt and Matt are at 5.
Yeah, we're hot.
They're quieter people. We're just animated.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm over caffeinated and overmodulated, so I've got a double whammy going on.
Yeah. I'm over Mondayed. Mm-hmm. Our guest in this first segment is the president of the Berkeley County Council. He appears courtesy of the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line. Doug Copenhaver, good morning to you. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good morning, Rob. Dave.
Doug, on Thursday of last week, you declared a state of emergency for Berkeley County. If you could, take us through the process of how you go about making that call and what that call means for the county.
Well, actually, Rob, that call is highly, I have to respect the opinion of Eddie Gochenour. He came to me when I was in a meeting and saying that we was right in the heart of a 3 to 7 inch rainfall over Thursday night, Friday during the day. And we all know what 3 to 7 inches of rainfall can do. And in order for us to do that, to declare that, we also have to, it gives us availability to open up the EOC, which is our command center, to make sure we can get all the emergency help out to where it needs to go. So that's the reason why we do that. We can't open the EOC up without that. And so we always want to be prepared and ready to go for the worst. And we were blessed not to receive that 3 to 7 inches of rain.
As far as that declaration goes towards funding of any repair, Doug, does it affect that one way or the other?
Well, it does in a long range, I believe, but we have to do it, and I believe the state would have to do it as well, and for us to get any funding. However, I don't think that was a situation on this one. I believe you have Mr. Gochenour on your show later today, and he'll be able to answer more of those questions better than I can.
Eddie will be on at 9:30 this morning. When Eddie recommends to you that you declare that state of emergency, do you have to then get a minimum 3-2 vote from the rest of the county council to go ahead with it?
No, the president has authority to do that, and I take Mr. Gochenour very seriously when he comes to me with any matter. And that's a great thing about being a very functional operating county government. When you have the right people in the right positions, you know solidly that you can depend upon their opinion and get the job done.
Hi, Doug. It's Dave. Welcome in to the show. Nice to have you this morning.
Good to have you, Dave. And you know there is a way to make it a 4-day weekend if you want.
Okay, you're going to give me permission for another day? Rob gave me 1 day now. You're going to give me another one.
Well, I just let Rob know that you won't be in on Friday. You're going to take advantage of a 4-day weekend.
There you go. If I play this right, I could get a whole week off, maybe.
if you overplay, you'll get a lot more time than that off.
Oh, that's true too. What's the number one quality of a talk show host, Rob? Showing up. Interested in putting this in perspective, and through maybe your years on the county council, how often does a state of emergency get declared by the council? I'm going to guess not very often, but can you tell me when some of the other occasions have been?
Well, one of the times was a couple of years ago when we had that real heavy snowfall, and that was a pretty lengthy one.
Yeah, speaking of days off, I got 2 days off that week.
Yeah, typically it's the snow in the winter. I think we had 2 of them done prior to this in the wintertime. And it gets pretty intense. I know the last time when it was snowing like we had, and the means that the telecommunicators need to stay at 911. Most of the time they can't get home, or we can't get other people in, so they camp out. And fortunately, this time we do have beds instead of air mattresses for them to sleep in. We still don't have the kitchen up and running, but this would have been the 3rd time, but we've activated the EOC at least twice since I've been in office for 7 years.
Doesn't happen very often.
Doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, you have a huge amount of people in that EOC that's not only doing the emergency side, meaning the fire rescue, how to get the ambulances in, the sheriff's department trying to get people in there, fire department sometimes clearing the way. State road, and it can. I know there was a needing a doctor at the hospital, and the last time no one could get to him, we couldn't cross our air guard couldn't cross the state line, Newark and Maryland, so we waited around and tried to get things going, and I was the one that ended up going to go get him and took him to the hospital. So that was a little bit of excitement for me, and it was fun. And I think I came across like 5 different roadblocks on the way, so we had to drop the towel and just keep on going. But it's fun to serve the county at that.
I remember that, Doug. And by the way, while we have you on the phone, I just got this from Alert Berkeley. Winchester Avenue, Route 11 is closed at the 5200 block in Pikeside due to an accident. And again, that's Winchester Avenue, Route 11, closed at the 5200 block in Pikeside. We've got an accident that's taken place.
Well, Alert Berkeley is a very nice tool for people to have. Randy Lilly has done a very, very good job on that for us, and encourage anybody to sign up for that. And you can pick and choose what you want to receive.
Oh, yeah, there's a drop-down menu. You can pick multiple alerts, 10, 12, whatever it is, whatever the number is, and it's very effective. Yeah. We had Gary Wine in this week, this past week too, Doug, to talk a bit more about the county's website and election night coverage. And again, just to salute the county for having outstanding personnel in place. Gary Wine's another one of those guys, just a great guy.
Yeah, and Gary always does a wonderful job, and I was shooting Gary some text messages on election night and stuff like that, and this time this year, I heard you and Dave, had some issues with it, and other people had issues, but I think it was more out of our control this year.
It was. Yeah.
And Gary was trying to do what he could do, but he was pretty much locked out of most of it, if I understand correctly.
Mostly had to do with the Secretary of State's website and the way it interacted with the counties, and Gary assured us that they found out about it pretty much at the last minute, and they will have a more efficient system operating on its own that the county can control by the general election.
Yeah, and my hat goes off to Mac Warner and Daryl Shule and everybody that represents us here locally. Mac Warner's doing wonderful things for the Secretary of State's office, and has his office, one of his satellite offices here in Martinsburg. And it's very easy to work through things when you don't make any changes. You keep everything the same, and you're it's much easier to get reelected. But when you go to make changes, it comes with unknowns. And as you know, that's Berkeley County government. We want to change things to make things better, and sometimes there's some unknowns that we got to work through. And when we do, we'll get through them, and we'll correct it and move on. But a lot of positive change throughout the state and Berkeley County.
Doug, while we kind of go wander from one topic to another, it's the first time we've had a chance to speak with you since election night. And you, of course, had that situation with Dan Dillier coming up and running against Elaine Mock. Elaine Mock wins by a wide margin. Kind of a two-part question for you. Were you surprised by that margin, A? And B, are you concerned that there might be tension in the council, that the two of them will still be part of that body of five?
Well, I was surprised with the margin. I think Dan works very, very hard, and Ms. Mock does as well. Dan shows a lot of results, but tension-wise in the county, I don't believe there will be. There may be a little bit right now, but not much at all. And it's just we're all professionals, and we work through it. If you ever was in our chambers as we're meeting, you'll find that we have a very relaxed atmosphere, joking around all the time, but very serious about our commitment to Berkeley County citizens. So we get things done. We put our problems behind us, and we work on the issues, and we go forward. So I don't look for any issues in the future.
It was interesting in Elaine's campaign that central to her message was that she's not a part of the good old boys club or something to that effect. Do you feel that there is a good old boys club in the county government that perhaps doesn't allow her voice to be heard at all times?
No, I don't think so. Everybody has the opportunity to speak their voice. It's an open meeting. And I don't think she means the good old boys being the county council. I think she means the good old boys throughout any government agencies. No, she has. We listen to her opinions and everything like that, and then at the end of the day, we make our vote. So, I think that slogan Mrs. Mock used on her first election, and again, the good old boys would be something that you're not wanting to change. You want to keep everything the same way, and this county council's not that way.
Yeah, and I think that there's a long tradition, of course, I think on the county council, at least over the past several years, where partisanship doesn't really play into this. I mean, the issues that you all deal with are not the kinds of issues that the legislature or even the Congress deals with, and so that's good, I think, to hear for all citizens that things will just sort of proceed along smoothly in the future.
Yeah, I don't think there's any worry with the county government. At the same time, I think there's a lot of things that we can continue to work with the state government and the federal government to try to make local government better. And we're always energetic and willing, and we're sitting down and meeting with the city and trying to do things there and try to make the city and the county a better place as a whole. So.
What do you see right now for the rest of the year, the agenda being, agenda items, if you will, between you and the city? Anything to bring up at all?
Well, we're wanting to sit down and talk, and there's a lot of, as you know, it's no secret, there's a lot of activity in downtown Martinsburg, and wouldn't it be nice to start revitalizing downtown? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to let the businesses know that's already established downtown that there's help on the way, possibly, meaning new businesses, and form a partnership not only county and city, but also with the businesses downtown, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a big partnership that everybody can trust each other and know that we're all heading in the same direction without any hiccups. And I think Martinsburg and Berkeley County is way overdue for a nice downtown area. And I think that to emphasize on that, I think that you've seen that there's some very nice restaurants. You got Boyd's, and you have Andrew Johnson's down there, and you got Dan's, and so you got a lot of activity. And you got Uncle Joe's down there, opened up a nice barbershop, owner-occupied building, and you have Advocate Insurance, Mid-Atlantic Insurance. You've got these businesses downtown. Now we got to form a partnership, in my opinion, and help these businesses not only to attract new businesses, which will enhance their business, but also help them out as well. It's just a win-win situation. And I've always said, if you're going to spend money to fix downtown up a little bit, you need to form a partnership and get sustainable income rather than spend money and not getting anything back out of it. And I've always been one of those ones, if I ever invested downtown, I want the city of Martinsburg to invest every dollar I invest, and then I know we do have a strong partnership.
Well, the whole topic of revitalization of downtown, I think, is an interesting one to all of us, because I think all of us, at least in theory, want to have a vibrant, robust, attractive downtown. What's the county role in that partnership as you see it right now, as you kind of go into this new phase? There is a lot going on. We're all very excited about it. It is in the city of Martinsburg. Where does the county come in and play into that partnership, do you think?
Well, it's a little bit too early for me to talk about that. It's work in progress, and actually it'll take a lot of planning to do that, and hopefully we can do it. So hopefully we can all be successful at that. And, you like I said, you got to have the sustainable income. The sustainable income is to create a nice, healthy tax base. And we have many, many buildings sitting vacant in and around the downtown area. Wouldn't it be nice to get those occupied and give them a facelift and be able to take that tax roll up in the future years?
Yeah, we can all say amen to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we need to do, and I think from what I understand, and I agree, the younger generation would much rather live in an area where they can walk.
That's because they don't like yard work, I think.
But I think you're right. I think you're right. They value their time more than you and I, Dave. They value their time, and I was born and raised. If you want anything, you got to work, and then you got to try to find time to play, but unfortunately my time is work now, and not playing too much, and it wears you down. And the younger generation is looking for quality of life more so than material things, I believe. And I think one of the things, Dave, that we have to do, Rob, the downtown area hasn't changed much since the car was invented when it comes to parking spaces. And one of the things is do you build the parking garage before you get the business, or do you get the business and build the parking garage? Well, any business person is going to tell you that I'm not going to come downtown until I'm guaranteed I have parking spaces. And when downtown was created, like I said, if you look at downtown when the horse and buggies were still out, it hasn't changed much. Now everybody has at least two vehicles, if not three or four, for just a two-person household. So we've got to create these parking spaces to make sure that you can guarantee, if somebody wants to invest millions of dollars downtown, you can guarantee them that parking is not going to be a problem. And I think that's a big thing.
Berkeley County Council President Doug Copenhaver is our guest here at Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. Dan Delegate, who was on last week, spoke about the need for a parking garage he felt in downtown Martinsburg. I don't know that that's echoed by the county or by the city council or the mayor at this time. I know it's been discussed in the past, but I don't know where they are. We haven't spoken with anyone since we talked with Dan last week. To circle back around, Doug, and wrap up our segment, in regards to roads in Berkeley County, I know Jefferson County still has some road flooding that they're reporting, even as of this morning. Is there anything in Berkeley County that we need to be aware of?
No, I talked to Eddie this morning earlier this morning, I should say, and all the roads are open. I think there's some debris down at the Stonebridge golf course bridge there going across the Peckin, which that's going to happen every time we get rain like this, having the historical bridge still in place. But everything is open and good to go. And I think Eddie said they'd done 3 rescues, but didn't need to use the boat. It was all done by vehicle. So it was a good storm for us.
Yeah, I saw on social media over the weekend that flooding on the bridge, and boy, it would just it was totally covered.
Yeah, and I've actually done some clearing before on stuff like that, and not there because it's so hard to get to, and it's a big hindrance to take care of that, and I don't know. I understand it's pretty bad right now.
One of our listeners, Roy, actually said that there were fish in the road last week toward the end of the week.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Doug, thanks so much for your time this morning, man. We appreciate it.
All right, Rob, Dave. It's always good to be on your show.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Bye.
Berkeley County Council President Doug Copenhaver, who last week on Thursday declared a state of emergency for Berkeley County. And as Doug hinted in the conversation, we will have Eddie Gochenour on to close down our show today. He'll be in studio around 9:30. And if you remember, Eddie's plea last week when we had him on was in regards to road barricades, people driving around them to go into flooded waters, flooded roads, and then they'd have to send in a rescue vehicle to try to get somebody back out. It appears that plea was heated, as I think he had said they had done 2 up to that point, and I think Doug mentioned that they had done a 3rd, so maybe just one more instance of that after Eddie was on the radio with us.
Yeah, I guess there's some vehicles that can probably go through those. You know, maybe a truck that sits up real high with big tires, perhaps.
Boat.
Yeah, a boat, yeah. And he hinted at something else, too, and we always appreciate Doug's one of those people that we can take in any direction, and he's always more than willing to go there.
A good interview.
But he hinted, I thought, that the county role, after saying it's too early to say what the county role might be, I kind of got a hint there that it might be a parking garage. I don't know about you, but that's I read into that a little bit.
Well, you know, he would be the second one to hint at that, right?
Mm-hmm. He would.
Dan Delegate did it last week.
Yep.
Right?
Well, I think he's right, too. I mean, if you get a parking garage, from what I can see, I'm no expert in urban planning, but if you get a parking garage built down there, it would seem to me to make it way more attractive for businesses who want to go downtown and locate.
You know, we'll have to get a city councilman on to see where they stand on that. I don't know if that's a priority for the city or not.
I don't know. I'm not sure that we've asked that question in a long time.
I don't even know if they feel there's a need. I really don't remember the conversation.
I don't remember reading anything about it, but maybe the county needs to take the lead and start beating the drum on that, because there's a lot of people who talk about it.
Do you think that there's a need for a parking garage?
As I said, I'm no urban planner, but it makes sense that a parking garage, a parking space of some kind in the city, would be an attractive feature to businesses who want to locate there.
Financial Phil from Bunker Hill joins us out of the break. Dow futures are having a triple-digit kind of morning to the positive side. We'll get with Phil next.
News updates. The Santa Fe, Texas high school massacre. We are learning more about the timeline from CBS's Omar Villafranca.
Police reportedly confronted the gunman just 4 minutes after the first shots were fired, and that started a 25-minute gun battle. A school resource officer was shot before the suspect finally gave up.
Victims' families also learning about their loved ones' last moments. Christopher Stone's sister.
He did go into a closet with other kids, and he was the one to help hold the door closed, and he did shoot through the door, and it locate my brother.
Roundtable discussions in the works. Texas Governor Greg Abbott looking for answers.
I personally have spoken to more than 100 people from the Santa Fe area. I consistently get the same solution offered up, and that is better security at our schools.
The governor calling for a statewide moment of silence later this morning. No school in Santa Fe today or tomorrow. CBS News Update. I'm Jim Taylor.
Here's your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. Flooding still a major problem in the area, and because of the rain, a number of roads in Jefferson County will remain closed. The National Weather Service issuing 4 active warnings. Homeland Security and Emergency Management telling folks to prepare for the flooding and stay safe. They asked for extra swift water rescue teams in the event of an emergency. Governor Justice issuing a proclamation in accordance with the President's proclamation, ordering all U.S. and West Virginia state flags and all state-owned facilities throughout the state be displayed at half staff until sunset tomorrow, honoring the shooting victims in Santa Fe, Texas. Berkeley County Prosecuting Attorney Katie Willis-Stilgatti announcing a slew of indictments returned on Tuesday. One of those indicted, Kayla Marie Gullidge of Martinsburg, charged with delivery of heroin, some child neglect, and other drug-related charges. And the West Virginia Division of Highways says there will be nighttime lane closures on I-81 between West Virginia exit 23 and Maryland exit 1 overnight this week as they work on road patching. I'm John DeMaster, Talk Radio WRNR News.
We've got a much drier week in store weather-wise than last week across the eastern panhandle. Weather maps are going to be a little more active. Weather systems are going to move a bit quicker, and that's going to keep the weather moving rather than being stuck and stagnant and in a rainy pattern like last week. We do see a lot of cloud cover for today, but some sunshine. Temperatures getting up to about 78 by the end of the afternoon, and clouds will continue to build in overnight tonight into tomorrow, and a rest chance of rain probably during the daytime tomorrow as a warm front approaches and gradually crosses the area. We'll see nighttime lows in the lower 60s. Tomorrow's high again in the upper 70s. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
You think back to when your daughter was the tiniest, sweetest, softest, prettiest, most precious little person in your life. She cried and your heart raced. She smiled and you laughed. She said, "Mama," and you cried. Hi, this is Lori from Bechtel Jewelers. I know she spent a lot of time in your arms, by your side, in your lap. The years have flown, and she outgrew your lap, but she never outgrew your heart. Your girl is graduating now, and a gift she will wear and treasure forever is a heart pendant. Each time she looks at it, she'll know she's always in your heart. Wherever she goes, you'll be together. At Bechtel Jewelers, Route 11 South in Inwood, our heart pendants start at just $99 in sterling silver. You'll find them in gold too. Some have gems, some are sprinkled with diamonds that twinkle like she does. You'll find one that fits her, sort of like the way she used to fit in your lap. At Bechtel Jewelers, Route 11 South in Inwood.
Hi, this is Rob Mario. I grew up on my Sicilian grandmother's home-baked pizza. If you want home-baked traditional Italian pizza the way the Italians do it, you want Brothers Pizza. They now bake their pizza pies in a real brick oven, the old Italian country way. You see, that takes the moisture out, gives the pizza a more crispy taste. And Brothers Pizza uses only the finest and freshest ingredients. You can dine in, you can carry out, you can have it delivered. Brothers Pizza, real Italian pizza from a real brick oven. 263-3322. Dine in or delivery done right. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer deaths in the United States each year. But do you know the radon levels in your home? Home is a place to live, love, and laugh, not a place to breathe air containing radon. The Berkeley and Morgan County Health Departments are distributing free confidential radon test kits, and you can get yours at the Berkeley County Health Department office in Martinsburg and the Morgan County Health Department office in Berkeley Springs. Protect your home and family. Get your free radon test kit today. Hi, honey.
Where are you?
I've been in line at the post office for the last 30 minutes.
Why are you at the post office? It'll take you all day.
Where else do I go to ship my packages or drop FedEx off at?
Honey, going postal is way faster, has less lines, and friendly service.
Where's going postal?
It's right in the Common Shopping Center in Martinsburg. They'll ship your packages quickly, and you can avoid the lines.
Going postal should be your first choice for all your shipping needs. Going postal, the Commons, Martinsburg. L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest jeweler, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you are a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg.
Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere.
We are back again here in Westminster, Maryland, as the hour. We welcome you back to Morgantown High School for tonight's boys basketball matchup. Your final score from Roanoke, Martinsburg 22, Patrick Henry 10. We are back once again here at Massillon High School in Massillon, Ohio. Back once again here at Doubleday Field in Cooperstown, New York.
Local sports coverage with Talk Radio WRNR's Matt Miller, there when you can't be. This segment of Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave brought to you this morning by Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies. When it comes to your home, auto, farm, or business, we're trusted, reliable, and experienced at Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies. Rob here along with David Welch. Davey.
Hey, good morning, and congratulations to a whole bunch of new high school graduates this last weekend in the Eastern Panhandle. And I asked more to come over the next week. I don't think they're all through yet. Maybe they are.
Jefferson County graduated their kids this weekend, Washington and Jefferson.
Okay.
And the Berkeley County schools will be marching this week.
Okay, nice. Well, congratulations to all of them. You know, they've achieved something. Started 12 years ago in kindergarten, and here they are getting ready to go out and face the big bad world out there.
In the 9 o'clock hour, Delegate Jill Upson will be with us. There's a special session going on right now with the House of Delegates and the State Senate. We'll talk with Jill from Charleston at 9. Eddie Gochenour will join us at 9:30. He is, of course, the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management here in Berkeley County. He had a very difficult week last week. Tuesday, Sheriff Curtis Keller at 9 o'clock. On Wednesday, Deputy Superintendent of Schools Don Dellinger will be joining us too. And on Thursday, we'll double dip with the county with Steve Catlett from Parks and Rec. You know, this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. That means the pool's open.
Yes, they do.
Steve. So Steve will be with us on Thursday in the big pancake breakfast, which we'll cover with Mike Hyde of Rotary coming up tomorrow. And then Bill Kearns and Angie Gray from the Berkeley County Health Department on Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour, kind of going hand in hand with the pool's opening this year.
Yeah, we were driving by the pool just the other day, and my wife said, "Are they going to open the pool up this year?" I said, "I think so."
Well, at least one of them. Lambert Park, however, is in need of some repair. I think Steve said they can get it open for this year and will operate it this year, but it's, he believes, better suited toward building a new pool than continuing to fix this one and keep it open and operating.
So it's right now a no-go for Lambert Park. Is that correct?
Long term, Steve's not feeling too good about it.
Oh.
But instead of me putting words in his mouth, I'll let him mouth his own words on Thursday on the show.
You know, the other thing that I was thinking about as I came to work this morning, too, is that the shooting in Texas, the school shooting,
Santa Fe.
Yet another one. I guess that happened right when we were getting off the air on 10 o'clock, because it was only about an hour later when it started, you know, coming into all the news outlets. And that's the 7th school shooting this year. I mean, that's just, you know, and we talk about this every time there is one. We I think both of us share, and hundreds of others who are listening, I think share in this agony, this frustration that, you know, next month there's probably going to be another one somewhere in America. And there just doesn't seem to be any stoppage. And it's such a helpless feeling for all of us who have children and grandchildren, even those who don't have children and grandchildren. It's such a black mark on our country, on our nation, on our culture, whatever. And the frustrating thing is that when you listen to those on the left, the, let's say, radical gun control crowd, and those on the right that you're not going to ever, you know, I'm not going to budge at all on anything. It's my constitutional right, and it is, to own a gun. That there doesn't ever seem to be something in the middle that they can talk about to try and do, if you will, the proverbial do something about this outrage. But anyway, it's just acknowledge how sad that is. We should always be mindful that something like this can happen anywhere.
Got a text from Judy Boykin who says, would we please remind folks to get their free-running dogs in from flooded areas. Dogs and cats that come in from very soggy yards should be dried and brushed to avoid skin rash and insects. Standing water in containers should be emptied as the warmer temps will provide perfect breeding areas for mosquitoes. That from loyal listener Judy Boykin. Thank you, Judy.
Very nice. Yeah. And no one loves dogs more than Steve and Judy Boykin. I can guarantee you that.
It's time to go to the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line and bring in Financial Phil from Bunker Hill. Philly, good morning to you.
Happy Monday, guys. How are you?
I am well. How did you do with the royal wedding? Any big watch parties at the Financial Phil house?
Well, Financial Phil is in somewhat of the doghouse with every female that I know.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't necessarily participate in the watch party, which really didn't include much, just my family, but my wife was really, really excited about it, as I think a lot of women were. But I had to point out, maybe I should have waited till it was over, but I had to point out how hypocritical we were to celebrate this wedding with the UK's economy in the type of condition that it's in. The money spent on this wedding that was the bill footed by their citizens is unbelievable. And it just made me think of, every time a president's wife spends too much on a dress or they go play golf or whatever it may be, how much we complain and scream about it. And we have a healthy economy. But over there, they throw this fantastic wedding for two people that really have no consequence for the future, and we celebrate it. So I pointed that out, and I put a few stats up on Facebook. And I'm still trying to dig my way out of the doghouse. So hopefully my wife isn't listening that I make this a topic today.
But
I'll be further in the doghouse. But I would say I did call her Queen Elizabeth all day Saturday.
Didn't we fight a revolution 200 years ago so we wouldn't have to have royal wedding parties in the U.S.? Just throwing that
was the purpose for it.
Throwing that out there. Well, let me just contrast your participation or lack thereof in the wedding.
I participated, but I was a wet blanket.
So I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning with my beloved Debbie, and we watched the 2 hours together of the prelude up to the wedding and the wedding itself. Not only that, Phil, I went out and got some champagne, and I made mimosas for the two of us and made her breakfast.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Dave. That really helps me get out of the doghouse.
So if Mrs. Phil is listening, you are really in the doghouse now, because I'm looking pretty darn good right now.
You're just more experienced than I am. Now,
You're just more experienced than I am.
I participated, but I did throw the wet blanket down and kind of drug my daughters who think the same way I do. They also started looking up stats on Facebook or on the internet. And my wife did not appreciate that. And what I was trying to do was, I think I was trying to protect my own wedding, because weddings like that tend to point a finger at your wedding is now inadequate. Just on the drop of a hat, that magical day that you had 20 years ago is inadequate. So I probably should have taken the route that you did, Dave, but I didn't. So you can take the man out of mate one, but you cannot take the mate one out of the man. That's
I enjoyed all of it. My only slight criticism of it, I thought that the American bishop went on a little bit too long for my taste.
He supposedly had 5 minutes budgeted, and he went 16.
Wow.
No, I didn't see it, but I just happened to catch that on one of the shows I watched over the weekend. I didn't watch the wedding. I have to say, I watched some of Lady Di and Prince Charles' wedding 40 years ago, whatever that was.
1981.
That was 37 years now, I guess.
Long time.
We had on the monitor when Kate Middleton and Prince, the older
William.
William, when they got married, it was actually during our show 7 years ago. So we actually had that on, and we're commenting on it during the show. This one, I have to admit, I totally forgot about. Woke up Saturday. It was not on my mind. By the time I found something that reminded me of it online, it was already over. I don't know that I watched it anyway, one way or the other. I can't tell you. If I out of curiosity, maybe I turned it on. But your point is a good one, Phil, the English economy is not great. It's heavily regulated. And to spend all that money on a wedding is, from our perspective on the outside, probably not the best use of their money. However, I think in England they value this. I think it's part of their tradition, and I think they put emphasis on it. And although you can find a lot of arguments as to whether or not it actually benefits or hurts the English economy because of tourism and whatever, for the most part, I think you can find enough supporters in England that are in favor of it.
I know there's one at Bunker Hill that supports it, and as my wife would say, I guess everything does not have to do with money, Phil. And I was, okay, sweetie, I'm sorry.
Well, did you tell her your name is Financial Phil?
I told her that I'm King Philip and she's Queen Elizabeth, and that didn't seem to help.
Well,
I will.
And won't. She's an educated woman, Phil. She's not going to fall for that.
No, she did not fall for it. But the next fruitless wedding that we watch before we get into the economy, I'm going to follow Dave's instructions.
Well, the good news is on that, Phil, is that the next time there will be a worldwide royal wedding event at this level is probably 25 years away, because the next one that will be William and Kate's oldest son, and that or any one of their 3 children. That will be the next time that you'll see this kind of event, I would imagine.
I think there's odds out on how long this marriage will last. Now that gambling is going to be legal, he may be getting married again. So we'll see. I may or may not have played $5.
I mean, being Prince Harry is pretty good because he's
it's the best deal in town.
You got Prince Charles is first to be king. Yep. His older brother William is next to be king. Yeah, he is. And then William's kids are the next ones to be king. He's so far out of the path.
Yeah, he's not even a backup quarterback. He's on the depth chart. He's like number 5.
Yeah,
it's not ever going to happen.
He's a Charlie Batch that's good in practice and he knows everything, but there's no pressure on game day.
He's not even. For him. Batch at least got in and started a few games. Again, it's Prince Charles is first. His older brother William is next, and then William's kids.
All 3 of them are the next 3
are ahead of him.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's
Rob,
the 5th. He's the 5th string quarterback who was the small college Division III kid who signed as a free agent and is on the practice squad.
But better yet, he's been raised all of his life to know that he'll never be king. He's been raised to Harry, you're going to have very little responsibility. You're going to have a freestyle life. You're going to be very, very good looking. You'll have your pick of any girl you want, and you're really not going to ever have to go in and have any of the authority or the responsibility that your brother is.
There's a good picture apparently of Meghan Markle out in front of the palace gates about 20 years ago as a teenager, taking a photo just as a tourist in England.
I also knew that she was. I saw a good meme that she used to be on Deal or No Deal, and she was holding a briefcase of money.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
No way.
I used to watch that show.
She was an aspiring actress, so that would make sense.
I used to watch that show, so I have to find out which one was her. Phil, before we run out of time, let's get to today's markets. And by the way, your wife will get even with you in another way. You have 2 daughters, dude. When it comes time for those weddings to take place, expect your own royal kind of wedding.
I'm not letting my daughter get married.
You're in trouble, man.
The amount of money you're going to pay on those weddings, you could pay off the national debt probably.
Well,
so
hey,
good luck with
I
that.
would at least like credit for watching the coverage of the wedding that evening instead of watching the Cleveland Cavaliers play, which is what I really wanted to do.
Okay,
so I would like a little bit of credit for that.
So, Phil, obviously you need to hear this, and so we'll just say you are an awesome dad and an awesome husband. There you go. It's official.
You.
It's official now.
Thank you so much. Please call Beth at work.
Isn't your wife a principal or something like that?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
I hope she's busy this morning. She's not listening.
You're going to get detention, bro. Dow futures.
Well, hey,
good.
Yes, Dow futures are up. I think this is a really positive sign.
This is 214 points to the positive. This is big. NASDAQ's up 46. S&P's up 14.5. Everybody's up at least 0.5% to almost 1% this morning.
Yeah, and it's all based off of stalled tariff talks. Nothing came bad out of the tariff talk. So that tells me that we have a healthy economy. Companies are still making money, even though the stock market hasn't necessarily been on fire this year. We have a healthy economy. Businesses are making money, and it tells me that people are looking to buy. They're looking for any reason to buy because there's really no positive change that came out of those talks, really. So we're buying off of that, and I think that's a positive sign. That shows me that we're still kind of bulls right now. So I do think that's positive. So I'm anxious to see where the day goes, and I'm glad to hear that, or not hear anything else about Amazon and that these tariffs, which I think at the end of the day, we need each other too much. So even if there were tariffs, I tend to think that the United States and China would find a way to get along, because it's just too true. We need each other too much with the size of our economies and how much we buy and sell from each other.
Is Trump effectively acting as a brake on the stock market?
He does. He does have this weird way, and I complain so much about his tweets and how he goes sideways, but it grabs attention. And John has noticed for years, whenever the attention isn't on the stock market, that our stock market thrives. But when attention is on our stock market, fear seems to run rampant, and we sell off. So anytime he does something that takes our eyes away from the stock market, we tend to do well. Now, here recently with the tweets about Amazon, it put our eyes squarely on the stock market. And at the end of the day, I don't think those tweets really meant anything. It was almost like a little needle to Jeff Bezos and say, hey, look what I could do. Like the Boobas, you remember them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, probably not, but look what I could do. And he just made a little tweet, and what happened to the stock price of Amazon, which has since recovered, but it was quite powerful what it did.
Hey, Phil,
anytime, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No, I was just saying that I think it's impressive that even though I complain about his tweets, they do seem to have a positive impact when he's talking about something that doesn't really matter, because their eyes go somewhere else.
I heard on the news yesterday something that caught my attention, and I don't know if it's related at all to the whole cyber economy or whatever it might be, but since Facebook announced a year ago or so that they had kind of had too much data, too much information and whatever on the lives of individual Americans and so forth, that they're now in that year they have 7% more subscribers to Facebook or members of Facebook than they did a year ago. So it seems like nothing hurts some of these companies. It just is what it is.
No, and I think it goes to show with social media how powerful it is now, because it doesn't seem to matter. The things that even and I'm a Facebook user, and you go online to look at one thing. You Google one thing to find. I have gotten, because I Googled all these stats about the UK. Every time I open up Facebook now, I see articles about the UK, the tracking that they have that's on your phones and on your computers or whatever device you use to use Facebook. I don't think we care. I really don't think we care. And I do find that to be interesting, because we're also in a time where you have half of the United States or half the world that's screaming about privacy, but at the same time, we disallow our own privacy just for Facebook. And even if you're a user of Facebook but you're not a poster, there's so many people that just kind of stalk others to see what's going on, and you're part of groups or whatever it may be. But that seems to be where we get our information, is Facebook or a link from Facebook. Because when I scroll down Facebook, I don't just see what my friends are doing. There's also ads, which is their income, which is Facebook's income. There's also ads that have a weird way. Sometimes I don't even know how they get this information from me, but it's these ads. It's something I've recently been interested in. I find it amazing.
Hey, one time
I don't care.
I mentioned out loud about a particular product in my house. I didn't search it. I just mentioned it out loud in front of a computer or smartphone. And later that day, an ad for that product popped up on my computer.
That's amazing. It's unbelievable.
I mentioned that's kind of unnerving, to be honest with you, though. I just mentioned it out loud. I don't know what was listening to me, but something heard it.
That has to be a coincidence. And my guess is because you mentioned it, at some point, it tells me you were interested in it, and at some point, without maybe remembering it, you must have inputted it somewhere.
I don't think so. Smart TVs listen to you. Your Alexa listens to you, right?
Or something that would lead your device to find that you're interested in this. I mean, it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you scroll down my Facebook page, you would see every interest that I have. It would go from the Steelers to fitness articles to economy. I mean, it would just be to volleyball rotations. It's crazy, the tracking, and we don't seem to care. So you're right. Facebook seems to be it can't be touched. And I remember when they first became public, and we had a lot of clients. And I wasn't where I'm at now, but I had a lot of people call say, "Hey, should I buy Facebook?" And I was afraid of it. I'm still kind of afraid of it because what's the next Facebook? There used to be another Facebook. Remember MySpace?
Yes.
That used to be the Facebook, but now it's non-existent. But Facebook seems to consume everything that would take it over. At one point, I thought maybe Twitter would be the new Facebook. Now, while Twitter's still very popular, it's not Facebook, and you use it in conjunction with Facebook. So I find it amazing that they've been able to withstand another company or another format, or there's all these other ways that people communicate now. Snapchat. I don't even understand Snapchat. Instagram. That's another one. I don't even understand it.
That's because you're over 30.
Yeah, and I don't get what's the difference of just texting someone or whatever, or calling them for Pete's sake. But all these forms of social communication, and Facebook just seems to keep chugging along. I think doesn't Facebook own Instagram or have some sort of? But they're all tied together though.
Phil, about 2.5 minutes left. I'm going to interrupt this line of thought just to get a final thing. And some of the earnings reports we're going to get this week include Target. And I remember when Target was having some issues because they were one of the first major firms to have a data breach. Clearly it hasn't hurt them long term, and we rarely see companies suffer now from a data breach like Target did initially. It's like we're numb to it. They were one of the first ones to get burned by it, and many others have followed. I don't think they've suffered as much as Target did.
And sadly, and I'll follow back around with something that Dave said, where we become, I don't want to say we're numb to school shootings, but now it happens so often that we're more numb to it than what we used to be, and that's the same thing with data breaches. We had a huge one from our credit reporting system, Equifax. And so now any data breach that seems to be run-of-the-mill, there's measures that you can partake in. Everybody, if you talk to 10 people, I bet you 7 of them had some sort of personal breach on their own privacy, whether it be their Social Security number, or someone filed a phony tax return in their name, or they somehow got a hold of their credit card. And it's all these, but we're numb to it.
It's happened to me.
Yeah, it's happened to me too. And I know how to protect myself, and it has happened. So, but I know how to fix it, and I think that's what has become the norm. Where before people didn't know how to fix it, and it used to be such a hassle to get it repaired, and now it's a little bit easier to get it repaired. So we have become numb to this sort of thing. Target also took a hit with the bathrooms. They were one of the very first ones that came out and spoke about the bathrooms, and we're going to boycott them until we need something from Target. We run back up to Target. So that also became second nature too.
30 seconds, Phil. What else are we looking for this week?
I'm looking for I'm still, as always, as the last few years, I'm going to keep my eye on interest rates and anything that would potentially move those, or any verbiage that would potentially move those, because I think right now that is the long-standing issue that has an impact on our stock markets. Whether or not I think it's valid or not, it's the one thing that tends to move our markets one way or another every time they talk about it. That's what I'm listening for.
Have a great week, Phil.
You guys do the same. Thank you.
Financial Phil from Bunker Hill. Phil McCoy at 9 o'clock. Our news is next. Delegate Jill Upson will join us out of the news break. This is Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg.
You should never count your chickens, darling, before your eggs get hatched.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Zoom Video Conferencing.
I'm Jim Taylor. Texas school massacre, families finding out what their loved ones' last moments were like. Along with 2 teachers, Christopher Stone, one of 8 students killed. He was pulling a door closed. His sister.
Many kids are saying that if it weren't for Chris, the other kids in the room probably would have been down as well.
Now what? Here's CBS's Omar Villafranca.
Governor Abbott at this point is saying that he wants to start a conversation, a roundtable conversation with students, parents, educators, lawmakers, even people in law enforcement, to see what they can do to make schools safer. The Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, has said that one thing is he wants to control the in and out of schools, the amount of doors. He's saying that it's not a gun issue.
The governor calling on all Texans to observe a minute of silence 2 hours from now. Can the president make demands of the Department of Justice and the FBI? Here's CBS's Stephen Portnoy.
He tweeted he'd demand a review of whether the FBI infiltrated or surveilled his campaign for political purposes. In so doing, some legal experts say the president has crossed a line.
It's clearly not appropriate.
Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley says while Mr. Trump may be right about the FBI's conduct,
That doesn't give the president license to engage in this type of Twitter storm directed at his own government.
The Justice Department Inspector General has been asked to conduct the review the president has demanded. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, says Special Counsel Robert Mueller is indicating that the investigation into the president could be concluded by September if Mr. Trump will sit down for an interview in July. There is no confirmation of this from any other source. When you get a new phone, what do you do with your old one? What should we not do with it, Vicki Barker?
Don't throw that old cell phone in the trash. The same advice goes for old laptops and many power tools, too. The lithium batteries inside them can and do cause fires, even explosions at trash and recycling centers. USA Today says the batteries caused 65% of waste facility fires in California alone last year. The states launched a consumer awareness campaign about the dangers of lithium batteries, part of a national safety effort. Jim?
Walls of lava 20 feet high, shutting down a highway in Hawaii. The stuff is red hot, splattering high into the air. Major Colonel Chuck Anthony, Hawaii National Guard.
There's some active lava that's popping pretty close by, and so you don't want to be around when 2,000-degree lava starts to splatter.
Evacuations continue. New danger being faced, what they call lays. That's lava and haze combining into a toxic cloud when the molten lava hits the Pacific Ocean. Ahead of the market's opening, S&P futures are up 16 points. This is CBS News.
Zoom video conferencing, featuring video and audio clarity with screen sharing. Free accounts are available at zoom.us. That's zoom.us. Zoom video conferencing.
Doors are being slammed in your face, and bad credit is holding you back from buying a house, car, even getting a credit card. $99 can put your credit back to a 720 or higher. That's right, just $99. Bankruptcy, tax liens, judgments, and even late pays can be removed from credit reports by calling the Giving Days Foundation. A nonprofit organization is here to help. Federal law allows you to challenge each and every item on your credit report. We'll recalculate your personal credit score for only $99 and repair your personal credit for free. Just be one of the first 10 callers. Take our personal credit challenge. Get your credit score to a 720. 800-482-4094. Call now to recalculate your personal credit score for only $99 and repair your personal credit for free. Call now. 800-482-4094. Don't miss this great free credit repair. Just be one of the first 10 callers. 800-482-4094.
Here's your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. Berkeley County Prosecuting Attorney Katie Wilkes-Delegate announced a slew of indictments returned by Tuesday. The grand jury convening at the Berkeley County Judicial Center. One of those indicted, Kayla Geledge of Martinsburg, charged with a number of different drug-related charges. The West Virginia Division of Highways puts out a press release saying nighttime lane closures pick up again tonight on Interstate 81. It'll happen between West Virginia Exit 23 and Maryland Exit 1. It all kicks off tonight at 9, runs till 5 a.m., and it'll run tonight through Thursday night. They're working on roadway patching and the speed limit down to 55 miles an hour as that continues. Flooding still a major problem in the area, and because of the rain, a number of roads in Jefferson County remaining closed. The National Weather Service issuing 4 active warnings. Homeland Security and Emergency Management telling folks to prepare for the flooding and stay safe. In addition to that, they asked for extra swift water rescue teams in the event of an emergency. I'm John DeMaster, Talk Radio WRNR News.
We've got a much drier week in store weather-wise than last week across the eastern panhandle. Weather maps are going to be a little more active. Weather systems are going to move a bit quicker, and that's going to keep the weather moving rather than being stuck and stagnant and in a rainy pattern like last week. We do see a lot of cloud cover for today, but some sunshine. Temperatures getting up to about 78 by the end of the afternoon, and clouds will continue to build in overnight tonight into tomorrow, and a rest chance of rain probably during the daytime tomorrow as a warm front approaches and gradually crosses the area. We'll see nighttime lows in the lower 60s. Tomorrow's high again in the upper 70s. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building is now open. This new 3-story, 40,000 square foot facility is conveniently located off Interstate 81, Exit 20 at the intersection of US 11 and Campus Drive. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills Medical Office Building features many different offices and services for area residents. It's now home to urgent care, women's imaging center, lab services, and primary care pediatrics. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building now open to serve you.
The Honda Memorial Day sales event has brilliant deals on our most popular vehicles, like the Civic, Fit, and Pilot. It's the perfect way to start summer across America, from the Liberty Bell to Hollywood, and even back up to Niagara Falls. So start your summer with the 2018 KBB.com Best Overall Brand during the Honda Memorial Day sales event, now at your Honda dealer.
Miller Honda south of Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. www.mymillerhonda.com.
Based on 2018 brand image awards from Kelley Blue Book, visit KBB.com for more information.
From the crack of the bat to the flash of the leather, Talk Radio WRNR's got your Nationals coverage all summer long.
Swinging a line drive deep left field. Stevenson back, way back at the wall. Leaps and makes the catch. Bangs into the fence and holds on. That's the second out of the inning. 2 out here at the bottom of the ninth. A spectacular catch by Andrew Stevenson.
Listen live on AM 740 and FM 106.5. Talk Radio WRNR, the Panhandle Sports radio station.
Welcome back to the program, Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave, brought to you in this segment by the Brown Funeral Homes and Cremations. Robert Fields and Sons, a family-owned full-service funeral home proudly serving our area since 1880. Davey.
Hour number 2, dude. One down and 1 to go.
Your Dodgers put a whooping on the Nationals this week.
They did indeed. They're finally starting to, as a Dodger fan, I'm happy because they're starting to win some games now. I mean, it's been a tough year so far, so maybe this will be a good sign. And, of course, you know, my Nats are my number 2 team, so I always want them to do well, too. But when they play each other, I got to go for my number 1. So, yeah, I'm happy. Good weekend for them.
My youngest son is, school's out for college, so he's home. And he's got a week or 2 before he starts his summer job. So he and his girlfriend came down to stay with us this weekend. So Saturday they took the subway into D.C. To go to one of the museums, and then went to a Nats game.
So did they go to both games or just one game?
The second game.
Second game. It's the night game.
So the subway train from Shady Grove into D.C., because of track repair, being routed on a shuttle bus, and then getting back on the subway to get to where you're going to go, took 2.5 hours on a Saturday afternoon.
My.
He should have driven.
He should have driven, yeah. And parking down there is no fun, that's for sure. But you can do it. About $25 usually at most places to park anywhere around Nats Park.
Oh, this was to get to the Smithsonian.
Oh, so 2.5 hours to get to the Smithsonian.
From Shady Grove to the Smithsonian. It took 2.5 hours.
Not even to mention the extra time it would take to get on the Smithsonian line and then get over to the Green Line, which goes to Nats Park. That would take it even longer.
So they ended up getting home about 1 a.m.
That's crazy.
That's a long day.
Yeah, that's one of the we just don't, Debbie and I just don't go to night games. I mean, rarely will we go to a night game at Nats Park just because of that distance. It's just such a long time, even on a weekend, it's just such a long time getting back.
On the bright side, they found online on StubHub general admission tickets to the Nats game Saturday night for $6.
No kidding.
$6.
That's cheap.
$6.
Where do they sit?
Bleachers.
Outfield.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I was telling my wife, I said, that's the kind of thing, that's very baseball-esque. And we're going to talk to Jill Upson. I understand she's on hold now, so we'll talk to Jill in just a second. If you're like hanging around, you wouldn't be able to just walk up and get tickets to a Wizards game or a Caps game for $6 or a Redskins game for $6. But for baseball, you can do that. You can actually pull that off. It's one of the things that makes baseball so unique as a professional sport. That's basically a minor league ticket price. You're getting into a Major League Baseball game to see 2 of the best teams in baseball.
Well, last year I went to a Phillies-Nats game, and one of the players on the Phillies, as you know, is a close friend of mine, and so he reserved for Andrew and myself reserved batting practice tickets for us to go down on the field and watch batting practice, which was a big thrill. And then what we did after that, because you didn't need a ticket to go to batting practice. They just let you in to go to batting practice. So we went out into the outfield and sat out there at the restaurant and had burgers and beers and whatever, and just stayed right there and watched the whole game from the outfield restaurant.
Did you bring your glove in case anybody got a hold of it?
I did not. actually. I haven't done that in a really long time. When's the last time you took a glove to a baseball game?
Probably 45 years
Yeah,
ago.
I was about 12. I think all the little leaguers went. It was at Dodger Stadium when I was about that age, and I remember it well because there was a streaming foul ball down the left field line, and the kid right in front of me put his glove out, and he caught it.
Did he save your bacon?
Well, I had my glove right there to get it, too. No, I mean, I had my glove right. I was going to get that foul ball, and then he stuck his glove out. And that's the closest I've ever come to getting a foul ball at a major league game. I've never had one in all the couple hundred games I've gone to in my lifetime.
I was very close as a teenager, sitting behind home plate, but beyond where the screen would protect you. So I was like second level home plate. And I was punching out the holes in my All-Star voting card. And all of a sudden I heard this whizzing sound. I had my head down, I heard this whizzing sound go by my ear. And the baseball, I was on the aisle seat, and the baseball landed about a foot to my left. And it was like a racquetball kill shot. It landed right between where the step goes up and down, right? So
yep.
The backing of the step and the flat part of the step, it was like a racquetball kill shot. Went right into the 90-degree angle and just killed the ball. And by the time it took me to look to my left and reach out to get it, about 50 people just all over the ball. It was a dog pile of people to get to the baseball, and I didn't get it.
Was that at Three Rivers?
Yeah, it was the old Three Rivers Stadium. Delegate Jill Upson is our guest here, courtesy of the WV Medicine Jefferson Medical Center talk line, and she is, I believe, in Charleston at the moment. Jill, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me back.
You're welcome. Are you actually in the Capitol right now?
I am in the Capitol. I am in my office with all kinds of bills and lovely readings spread across my desk here.
When you say bills, you mean legislation, not things you owe people money for.
Correct, legislation.
Maybe she has the one kind of bills on the right and the other kind of bills on the left, and you keep them separate. You're losing.
I don't bring those with me to Charleston. Those can stay back in the district, and I can work on those later.
And you're losing your office mate next year, I guess, huh? So.
Yes. So when I walked in, I mean, it's not entirely cleaned out, but you can tell that she's definitely moved some of her things out already. And, you know, I just felt a little sad, you know, walking in and seeing everything all cleared off because, you know, we've been office mates now off and on for the last 4 years. So it's kind of bittersweet.
Talking about Sarah Blair, who, by the way, I'll give Sarah credit for this one. She checks out of something, Jill. She checks out all the way. She is done with being a delegate. We had her on election night, and she's done her time, so to speak, and she's ready to move on to the next phase of her life there.
Yes, I heard that she was on, but I didn't have an opportunity to listen in. So, but that's good. I understand. I mean, she can, you know, basically write her own ticket. She's already accomplished quite a lot at such a young age, and so the sky's the limit for her. Looking forward to seeing what's next.
And besides, she has a famous father. There is a number of bills that were introduced into this. Do you call it a special session or an interim session? What's the official name for what you're doing?
It's a special session.
Special session. And one of them that caught my attention immediately was House Bill 101, reestablishing the Division of Culture and History as the Department of Arts, Culture, and History. Was that the one that was sort of voted out last year, and now it's being brought back?
Well, that was one of my concerns, and so last night I actually had some meetings with representatives from the governor's office to make sure that that was not the case. And so I did ask a lot of questions about this because, you know, if you remember that original bill, House Bill 4006, was based on a recommendation of the Education Efficiency Audit, and that department was duplicative. And so if we were going to go back and create an entirely new department, for me, that would have, defeated the purpose of running House Bill 4006. And so the gentleman that I spoke with last night assured me that this is in no way creating a new department, that it's simply the renaming of the existing Division of Culture and History.
So there's no budget to this, then? It's just a renaming?
Correct. All of the line items in the budget remain the same. It's just a reorganization, but there's no change in the amount of spending allocated for this new department.
Of course, the other bill that jumps out at a lot of people here as well is House Bill 109, the West Virginia Medical Cannabis Banking Act. Can you tell us about that?
I cannot tell you about that because the first I heard of it was last night during the floor session when the Democrats introduced it and asked that it be immediately taken up. And no one had seen it. It is not included on the governor's proclamation for the special session, and so constitutionally we couldn't take it up, and I certainly have not had an opportunity to read it. I do know that it supposedly is going to try to address some of the issues with the banking that we're having with our medical cannabis law that will go into effect in 2019, because as you know, with this, it's still prohibited on the federal level, and so community banks aren't going to touch the money. And so, we have the same conundrum that a lot of other states have run into, in that, it's still illegal on the federal level, and, what are you going to do with the sales? How are you going to implement the program? And a lot of times I'll get these comments on Facebook saying, you just need to completely legalize recreational and tax it. But, there's a lot that needs to happen. I guess Jeff Sessions has come out and said that he's no longer going to abide by the Cole memo, which was, as you know, the memo during the Obama administration that basically said that if states go ahead and legalize marijuana, we're not going to do anything to enforce federal law. Well, that memo has been rescinded. And so, banks are at risk, and I mean serious risk, of losing their charter if they get involved in accepting these funds in any kind of way. So we have some serious issues that we need to work out before we can move forward.
So I'm seeing here on the chart then that bill has now been assigned to a committee, which means it probably won't come to any kind of floor vote during the special session.
No, the special session will probably, run 1 to 3 days, and so that isn't something that we would be able to take up during the course of this particular special session. As I said, it's a very complicated issue and should be treated as such, and, I just, hope that this isn't, some sort of, election year ploy to say, these people really don't want to move forward with this, because as you know, I was one of 8 Republicans that initially, fought to get the legislation heard to begin with, and so, I'm definitely in support of medicinal marijuana, but I want to do it in the right way, and I don't want to find our states or our banks, running afoul of the law because of the new administration and the tack that they've taken.
Delegate Jill Upson is our guest here at Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave, appearing courtesy of the WV Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line. Jill, where are we on PEIA? I know we are, and we just did visit areas around the state getting input from the public. Are we still in the public input gathering of information phase?
We are, and I know the task force has been meeting regularly, and they have actually been live streaming those meetings. And I guess what they've run into is just that insurance costs are rising, and the only way to continue to prevent the insured on the public employee system that they don't have premium increases is to come up with about $50 million a year. And so although we were able to pass numerous pieces of legislation that directs funds into the PEIA Stability Fund, we don't have exact figures on whether or not that would total $50 to $55 million a year. I think one of the most promising pieces of legislation that will go to stabilize PEIA was the fact that we were able to direct anything above $15 million for the new sports betting law that we're leading the nation in and implementing. So that's a very significant opportunity for both the state and for our public employees.
I heard this morning on a radio station out of Washington, D.C., that Maryland is at least 2.5 years away from even getting anything going with sports betting. Governor Hogan in Maryland, apparently they said, is cool, as in not in favor of the idea, so he's not leading any passionate push to get it going in Maryland, so West Virginia could get a pretty healthy head start on its neighboring states.
Absolutely, and it feels good to be in a position of leadership on something like this, and to pass this law anticipating what the Supreme Court ruling would be, just really showed a very smart vision for our state, and I'm glad to have been a part of it.
And that was a bipartisan effort, really, if I remember correctly, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
That was not a highly
bipartisan.
That's good.
Yes.
I think it makes us somehow feel hopeful about the state's future every once in a while when you all do something that is supported by both sides. What are some of the highlights that we haven't asked you about that you see in this special session, Jill, that you're excited to be a part of?
Well, we're taking up 8 bills during this special session. 4 have been assigned to the House, and 4 have been assigned to the Senate. And probably the most, significant or newsworthy bill would be the one that we already discussed, just making sure that we do have an advocate for the arts in West Virginia, and that we continue to streamline government by the elimination and combining of those 2 departments that we did last session. The other bills are really just kind of non-newsworthy technical cleanup on a variety of different bills. Our fleet bill, we've got some supplemental appropriations going out. We've got a surplus. So this year we're already at I believe, a $2.6 million surplus. And so we're going to go back in and add language so that some of that surplus can be reappropriated for some of the agencies who need it.
Jill, the fleet bill, does that have to do with the state's automobile fleet?
Yes.
Okay, now that leads me to my next question, which is the legislative auditor has come up with additional information of potential abuse of state vehicles in the state Supreme Court system. I know they already looked at Menace Ketchum and now Lawfrey's use of the state vehicles, but now I guess they've extended that further into the administrative end of things, and they're finding additional tales of waste and misuse of these automobiles. Do we have a handle on what's going on there?
Well, I had not heard that this investigation had looked at the Supreme Court use of vehicles, but I have to tell you, because of the fact that there hasn't been very good tracking over the years of these vehicles, it doesn't surprise me that it would extend into Supreme Court use. And so that's one of the things that we're addressing and making sure that all of our agencies, including our DMV, is taking part in this process to make sure that we have an accurate count of the vehicles and what they're being used for.
I understand in one particular case there was misuse, or a vehicle maybe should have had a rental vehicle, 200 and something miles put on it instead of 1,900 were put on it. I think the name Steve Canterbury was put out there as the person who may have been guilty of this misuse. And I just wonder how much credibility we have budget-wise when I just go back to the governor when he took over saying the patient is sick, we can't afford to cut anymore. And each day that goes by, we seem to find more misuse of state funds that proves that, yeah, we could cut more.
Well, I've and you've talked to me before. I've kind of been in disagreement with the governor on that. I certainly see opportunities for much greater efficiency in the way that we do things in state government, and so I see a lot of opportunities to cut, and don't think that we've done enough to make sure that we're not wasting taxpayer dollars. So that's just one of the areas, one of several areas where I've been in disagreement with this governor.
I see Don Blankenship has made the announcement he's going to run for Senate on the Constitution Party ticket.
Well, I just saw that too. It kind of went through my timeline earlier on my phone, and I didn't click on there to see. I don't know, what the legalities are of him being able to add his name to the ballot under a different party. I know there is some sort of restriction for, down ballot candidates to be able to switch parties and to run as that party. So I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. But that is, it's interesting, and I guess if it's legal, he has every right to do that. But clearly the voters have spoken, and I just would prefer that he would be gracious in his loss. I've lost an election, and sometimes you just have to accept that was the will of the voters. And if I had my druthers, he would just move on.
Because it does present a problem, I would think, at some point, if he's allowed to stay on that ballot, because even taking 3 or 4%, those votes are all coming out of voters that I would imagine would be voting for Morrissey and not for Manchin. So it could be a factor.
It could be a factor. I don't know. I think both candidates have, some crossover appeal. So we just have to wait and see how it all played out. But I just, don't know if the voters who voted for him before would still vote for him, with the fact that he would just be, switching parties again and getting on the ballot for the same office for which the voters rejected him.
By the way, this just came across. Alert Berkeley announcing that the 5200 block of Winchester Avenue, Route 11 in Pikeside, has been reopened. We had at 8:13 an incident there, an accident that had blocked the lanes, and now we understand it's reopened. So if you're headed that way, or if you're sitting in the jam, you'll be moving along soon. Jill, what's up first for you this morning?
I've got the 11 a.m. floor session, and so I'll be scrolling through here to see what items are going to be taken up first.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Enjoyed it.
Delegate Jill Upson, our guest, courtesy of the WVU Medicine Jefferson Medical Center talk line at 9:27. As the hour continues, we'll speak with the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management in Berkeley County, Eddie Gochenour, who had a busy week last week.
Oh, yes, he had a busy week.
This segment of the show brought to you this morning by Bechtel Jewelers, West Virginia's largest Pandora retailer, Route 11 South, Inwood, next to Viva Mexico. Bechtel Jewelers.
Yeah, you may have all you want, baby, but I got something you need. Oh yeah, talking about love.
Fire up the barbecues and the deals at the Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Memorial Day sales event. You'll get great savings up to $12,000 off a 2018 Ram 1500. Save up to $6,000 off a 2018 Cherokee. You can drive away in an all-new 2018 Journey SE for just $234 a month. How about a 2018 Jeep Compass Sport for $252 a month? Or a 2018 Dodge Durango only $389 a month. This weekend at the Memorial Day sales event, you can get a gas card for every test drive Friday through Monday, and stop in Saturday from 12 to 2 for a cookout. And while you're there, check out the no money down specials at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty on Kelly Island Road, or online at millerschryslerjeep.com. Stock number 18240, stock number 18017. All payments based on approved credit, taxes, tags, and processing fees extra. See dealer for details.
Life is complicated, but your finances shouldn't have to be. At BCT, we simplify your financial life. Bank of Charlestown is a locally owned community bank with 7 conveniently located offices serving the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, Middleburg, Virginia, and their newest office in Hagerstown, Maryland. With over 140 years of experience, BCT is the tri-state area's choice for fast, convenient, and hassle-free banking solutions. Whether you are a high school senior looking for a student checking account, a college graduate purchasing a new car, a first-time home buyer, or investing for retirement, BCT has flexible solutions to fit your lifestyle. BCT is committed to providing everyday ways to simplify your financial life. Also, make sure you are following BCT on Twitter and Instagram at MyBCT, or like their Facebook page to see how BCT reinvests local deposits back into the communities they serve. BCT, we simplify your financial life.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics insurance companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
This segment brought to you by the Washington Nationals. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB At-Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. MLB.tv. Catch all the information that you need at 9:31. Rob and Dave here on Talk Radio WRNR. You can check us out live on Comcast Cable TV Channel 10 each morning between 8 and 10 for the talk show. 6 a.m. is when we start the total TV coverage here in our studio. And then if you miss the show live, you can now catch the replay on WRNR TV on YouTube. And the show is usually uploaded by lunchtime. It takes a little while to get that file up there.
There is really very little excuse not to catch this program during the day. If you don't get it on the radio, AM or FM, from 8 to 10, I mean, we'll give you lots of other opportunities. So
you got chances.
You got chances. Nice to hear from Jill, by the way.
Yes.
It was a very informative update, I thought, on, the highlights as to what's going on in the special session down there, and we'll see what the outcome is. I'm wondering, is that a Democratic Party political ploy, do you think, to try and get the Cannabis Banking Act in? She suggested that it was only being introduced, but that's an important measure they've got to address at some point in time, I would think.
Who will handle the money and how?
Yeah.
As Jason pointed out, in Colorado, I think he said they went around it by getting the credit unions to handle it. They're not subject to the same banking laws as banks. That's one way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the details of this legislation, but they can't delay it for too long. They've got to deal with that aspect of it, I would think.
Tomorrow morning, House Majority Leader Darrell Coles will join us at 8:35 from Charleston, so we'll get his opinion on it one day into it.
Or at least his spin, one of the two. Yeah, because that's what elected officials do.
One and the same.
Yeah, I guess.
Are you saying that elected officials come on the show and try to massage the message to fit their needs?
I think I've said this before many, many times. It's their job to do that, and it's our job to push back and to kind of unspin it. And I think that if everybody does their job, we can end up with a community of pretty well-informed people. And still, so they do their job, we do our job.
And still no answers.
And still no, we go to experts for answers.
Speaking of experts, we got one in the studio right now. Eddie Gochenour is the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management here in Berkeley County. Eddie, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, good morning. Thank you.
Good to see you again, man. How you feeling?
Doing good.
You look good.
Yep.
You look like the most suntan guy in the Eastern Panhandle. You've been outdoors a lot lately?
Oh, yeah, doing a lot of mowing.
Yeah, me too,
trying
man.
to.
Yeah. I got mine in 2 stages this weekend. One on Saturday afternoon late. I got in the first half before the rain arrived, and then on Sunday, I got the rest of it done. And my next door neighbor said to me, "Do you think I should cut my grass? Someone said it's too wet. I should have cut it now." And I said, "I just cut mine." I said, "If you don't cut it now, it may never dry anyway, so you might as well get it cut."
Yeah, the problem with the good part about having all this rain, it's just so darn green, right? I mean, it's great. Everything's green. The lawns are healthy, but the weeds grow too. I don't like that part.
That's right. They're green. They're green.
Yeah. I spent part of Saturday with my son. We had to plant the 2 new trees in the front from the.
Did you have a ceremony?
I had to straighten the one out.
Yeah. Did you name them or anything?
The wind was so strong during one of the storms that the new maple that we put in, it was leaning to about 11 o'clock, right? So we had to go back in, and I had to retie it to the guide rails and push it over, get it to stand up straight again.
I was freaked out on Sunday morning. I went out to start my work day in the yard, which was about a 6 or 7 hour day, by the way, so it was very tiring. First thing that happened to me, I opened up my shed, and they're staring at me as like this 3-foot-long snake in my shed. And I
call Eddie.
For some reason,
call me. Do not.
Snakes just freak me out, and I don't know why. I think it's because I never know if it's a friendly snake or an unfriendly snake, and I don't know the difference. They just freak me out. So I went back into my garage to get something to kind of pick it up with, and by the time I got back to the shed, it was gone.
Yeah, he doesn't want to.
Because I wasn't going to step over it.
He's not going too far. He's just out of your sight.
Yeah, I couldn't find him.
Well, with as tall as the grass got, it was easy for the snakes to hang around.
And it hadn't been. It got cut later on in the day, but you're absolutely right. I figured it slithered off in the grass somewhere.
Yeah, I have
to join the groundhogs.
Well, I have woods that back up to my house. And so it's not uncommon this time of the year. You see some snakes. You get them in your garage once in a while. Had a neighbor that had one in their kitchen. Somehow managed to get into the kitchen. That's not a breakfast you want to come down to.
No, and I take my fear back to my childhood days. my dad was scared to death of snakes. So when you see your dad, who's you
Sure.
think's a pretty tough guy, and he's scared of a snake, you better be scared of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I blame
If your
him for
dad's
that.
afraid of something, chances are you're probably afraid of it as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
Eddie, we had enough water last week to last us for a while, but it could have been worse, actually, couldn't it?
It could have. Some of the predictions that we had received from Sterling Weather did not meet what they had predicted. Thank God, because they were talking Thursday evening about an additional 3 to 7 inches of rainfall overnight, and that would have been really catastrophic for us.
We at this point, Doug, we had Doug Copenhaver on earlier this morning, and he said as best as he could tell, all the roads in Berkeley County are open, and flooding is no longer an issue in Berkeley. It might be in Jefferson this morning, but it's not in Berkeley.
Yeah, I had spoken with Joe Casado, who's a Department of Highways superintendent, and all of our roads are now open. I checked a couple on my way in, moved a few road closed signs out of the way so people could wouldn't have to swerve around.
Not that they were paying attention to them anyway, right?
Even those roads where the water came up all the way over and just submerged the road, those are all clear now.
Everything's good to go.
So it didn't take very long then.
It didn't. It came up rather quickly and went down quickly. Part of the problem at the Grapevine Road area and Douglas Golf Course Road was a log jam. There at the old Van Meter Bridge, the old stone bridge.
I go over that all the time.
There's a tremendous log jam there that just backs the water way
like
up.
Literally log jam?
Oh, yeah.
I know on Friday Rob was reading the notice on several occasions, the notice that you had generated about driving into pools of water. Mm-hmm. Did we have anybody who didn't maybe get the memo?
Oh, yeah, we had a few. We had a lady on Douglas Grove Road with 2 children in the car get stranded.
So stranded, you mean just the car's just sitting there floating in the water?
Well, fortunately, it wasn't floating, but it was submerged in water.
Submerged, okay.
Well, it wasn't totally submerged, but it had stopped running.
Okay, there you go.
1.5 feet, 2 foot of water.
Just couldn't make
all the way
it
around.
through.
So, our guys from Baker Heights went out and on their large apparatus that they have, and retrieved them, brought them back to safety. As the water went down, the towing companies, they would go in and get the car later on.
Now, did that person, don't name a name, of course, but did that person, was there a posting there not to do that? Was there any way that the driver should have known not to go into there?
You would think so. Yeah. I mean, we are very aggressive. We, as emergency services, are more aggressive in getting road closed signs sometimes than our partner with the Department of Highways. They're very reluctant to close a road. I mean, and I get it. However, when we have a road that's covered over completely with water, it needs to be closed down because people are going to make poor choices. And, within the next hour, a road that has 2 or 3 inches of water across it, now has 8 or 10 inches of water across it. And, you try to prevent people from making a poor mistake.
How much water will require you to close a road, Eddie?
Me? Not very much. If that water is across the roadways and I can no longer see the yellow or the white line, then I feel that road needs to be closed down.
That's a pretty good, way to do it. If you can't see the line, but how about if there's no line? Then,
Yeah, it's a judgment call.
It's a judgment, Because I asked that because I'm thinking about myself, and it's quite possible I'd be the kind of person that say I can get through that with my car and get stuck. So
I'll see you later.
Yeah, I confess that I might be one of those people. But now maybe I know better. I won't do it.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, just please turn around, go another way. What's another 15 or 20 minutes, truthfully? But people don't want to be inconvenienced. They want to be put out of the way. And unfortunately, then we've got to send crews out to retrieve them. And I'm telling you, when you're out in the water, you're on your own. There's nobody coming to get you when things happen. As far as my rescuers are concerned, when things go bad on the water, they're on their own. They're on their instincts, their training, their equipment. That's all they've got. So when things go bad, and which, we had some friends up in Hampshire County during the last flood, nearly lost their life. They lost control of their boat. The boat went downriver. It careened into a tree broadside, and they were hanging onto a tree until they could get a second boat out there to rescue the rescuers.
Eddie, is there a charge when you rescue a person on the water or in some situation like that to the individual who requires the rescuing?
No, there's no charge involved. typically I will have a conversation with them, and I think it's a conversation that needs to be had because we don't want them to make that same mistake again.
That's interesting. If I need an ambulance, I get a bill.
I was just thinking the same thing, Rob. Exact same comparison.
But if you need a fire truck, you don't get a bill.
Get a tow truck, you get a bill. I bet.
Sure. Oh yeah. But during all this flooding, we've got some great partners. Right off the get go, we contact all of our volunteer fire departments. Hey guys, these roads are closed, or we anticipate, and they know what roads flood. Typically in their run areas. Department of Highways, we work very closely with them. I'm back and forth on the phone with them all the time. Red Cross, in case we need to set up a shelter. Was in touch with the sheriff, who offered any assistance that we need. Just give him a call. So none of us can take care of all the public on our own, and it's very important that we have these good working partnerships.
How many people did you have on duty during these storms and the floods, Ed?
Well, I had my staffing on duty throughout the days, in our departments, but then overnight, of course, Randy Lilly, who is our emergency manager, and I'm very thankful for Randy. Randy does a great job. He's the one that actually sent, the electronic signals out to you all. Hey, this is what's going on.
The Alert Berkeley?
Yes, the Alert Berkeley. Even the emails that were sent out about the declaration of emergency that we had the county council president Copenhaver sign. He takes care of a lot of that stuff for me, and he really does a good job.
Eddie, how many people do you have signed up for Alert Berkeley?
Right now, there's over 13,000, and that's not near enough. I'm disappointed that we don't have 50,000. Mm-hmm. This is very important that we be able to communicate with people, especially in the middle of the night. And my greatest fear is a tornado hitting our area and us not being able to communicate to people who are asleep and don't know that something bad is coming down upon us. And then after that, because there'll be a lot of destruction, being able to communicate back to them where they can go for help. That communication is so important. But we use it a lot, and like road closures, 81, all of our major routes. When we have auto accident and the roads will be tied up for a while, Randy's on it. He's sending those messages out, and it gives opportunity for people to go another way, and very fortunate that the council purchased this program.
I know that you and all of your team and your partners have exercises to train for different situations.
Yeah.
So that when the state of emergency was declared last Wednesday by the county council president, and you all went immediately into action, I'm sure you're the one that sort of spearheads all of this and,
Yes.
and manages this. How close was it to the exercises that you had gone through in preparing for rain like this and floods like this?
Well, typically the exercises take you to extreme conditions, and this particular flood was not to those.
Okay, so you're over. I mean, I don't want to say over prepared, but you're way prepared enough. To
Right.
handle it.
Generally they're looking at creating us problems with our water district, our sewer district, because of flooding and the pumps go out, and now we've got water issues and sanitary issues, and once the power outages, now we got problems getting fresh food, and so you're preparing for those type of events. Where this one was not near that line.
Were we close at all with the any issues with water and sewage?
No, not at all. No, not at all. We're in pretty good shape.
I know in Frederick, which apparently got a little bit worse than Martinsburg got, they had issued pleas to the residents of Frederick to use as little water as possible because they were in danger of I guess, an overflow at the sewage treatment plant.
Yeah. We weren't notified of any of those problems. Typically upriver, we've had some issues, and then of course, we're right on the phone contacting the water district, say, hey, you may want to monitor your water coming in, and these guys are so good. They're the river keepers. That organization, they're sharp. they're on top of things.
You mentioned Frederick, Rob. I think it was Thursday or Friday, I saw on the television news, one of the stations, they were interviewing the mayor, I think, of Frederick, and he was talking about the millions and millions of dollars of flood control that they had put into the downtown area when they were revitalizing downtown.
Yes, Carroll Creek Project.
Yes, exactly. And some of the citizens had expressed great concern that the park itself was flooded. And the mayor pointed out, when this park floods, that's a good thing, because that's what it was designed to do, was to take all the flooding, I guess, that could go into your homes and businesses and take it into the park. And I thought, what a brilliant plan that was. Well in advance.
Engineering, right?
Absolutely.
Civil engineering.
Yeah.
Hey, Eddie, hang out if you could, if you're not in a hurry to leave us this morning.
I'll be here for a little while.
Very good. Well, we're going to take our commercial break here, and I'll tell you that this segment of the show brought to you by L.A. Roberts Jewelers in downtown Martinsburg. L.A. Roberts Jewelers is committed to excellence in quality, design, and craftsmanship. L.A. Roberts Jewelers.
WVU Medicine has combined the Jefferson Medical Center and Berkeley Medical Center sleep labs into a new sleep center at the Viking Way Commons in Martinsburg. Operated by Berkeley Medical Center, the WVU Medicine Sleep Center features 8 beds with private baths and sleep number adjustable beds. The sleep center provides services that help identify and treat sleep-related disorders like snoring, sleep apnea, insomnia, narcolepsy, restless leg syndrome, and excessive daytime sleepiness. For more info about the sleep center, call 304-821-1460.
Now's the time to talk with John's Pool Supplies about opening your pool. Or maybe it's time for a new above-ground or in-ground pool. John's Pool Supplies, 237 Eagles School Road, has over 30 years of experience and a large selection of products, services, and supplies for your pool or hot tub. From custom liner installation and pool inspection to free water testing, call John's Pool Supplies at 304-267-2000, johnspoolsupplies.com.
Tammy's husband was killed by a drunk driver.
I'm all alone now. How can I raise 3 children?
My dad isn't here to coach me in baseball.
My dad was going to walk me down the aisle.
Drinking and driving takes a heavy toll beyond the roadways. Make a plan. Call a friend, parent, Uber, or cab. Stay overnight. Don't drink and drive.
Brought to you by Herbert Hoover High School, West Virginia Alcohol Beverage Control, and ABCA, State Farm, West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station.
I wanna talk about my baby.
Welcome back to the program. Join us tomorrow. House Majority Leader Darrell Coles will join us at 8:30. Sheriff Curtis Keller is in our 9 o'clock hour tomorrow. And Mike Height from Rotary. We know Mike from here around the building, Panhandle Printing and Design. There's a pancake breakfast every year around for the Memorial Day celebration at the park. It's a good fundraiser and a great opportunity for you to get fed and do a good thing for your community, too. Mike has more information on that tomorrow around 9:30. Right now, we're visiting with Eddie Gochenour. He is the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management in Berkeley County, and certainly his staff was put to use, very good use, last week. Eddie, in regards to roads that flood, is there a way to be proactive in terms of a more aggressive way of keeping people off of flooded roads going forward?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we want to have a conversation with the Department of Highways to investigate the abilities of being able to gate these roads off. And, when you close the gate, it will have the proper signage on it, but it's going to prevent somebody from making a mistake. You can't stop everything, but I think that we can prevent the innocent person that just made a mistake. They thought they could do this and they weren't sure. So close the gate off. They'll obey the sign, turn around, and go the other way. We hope.
I can see the person, if there's just a little bit of water on a roadway, but maybe you're by a fast rising creek or river that maybe you didn't know was coming up that fast, and you get into a problem there. But the person who goes through water that's clearly too deep to be driven through, you got to have some way of preventing that person from doing.
Well, you do. And you try to prevent, take proactive steps to help the public. Make good decisions. That's all.
How is the coordination between your unit and the other units that overlap and join in successfully in services that you provide? How was that last week?
It's fantastic. So many folks that we work with, that are always willing to help, and we make the phone calls or they call us, and everybody's in tune, everybody's aware and alert about what's going on. We requested additional resources from the state. I wanted another water rescue team here based on the predictions out of starting weather, and they placed a boat crew out of Hampshire as our backup crew, which it's going to take a while to get here. So, but it was a shared resource when I made the request, or actually when Randy made the request. I wanted to make sure that they understood that, look, we're not going to hold those people here. If Jefferson needs it, it will go to Jefferson. If Morgan needs it, it's something I was willing to share, but I wanted to jump on it early and get it into the Panhandle.
So you're thinking, really, as you quarterback this whole thing, you're thinking of every conceivable possibility, even though they're unlikely. Any one of them are unlikely to occur. That's what the whole game is about, I think.
It
is just every possible scenario.
And if I did not ask for that water rescue team, the backup team, and I needed them, then I failed. And I'm not much.
Oh yeah, so I think that's an interesting part about being a safety officer, is that you just have to think ahead. This could happen if that happened, if this, the whole thing. And chances are it's not going to happen. Chances are you knew you probably wouldn't need that boat, but you had to have it in there just in case.
With an additional 3 to 7 inches of rainfall, oh yeah, we'd have needed it.
You'd have needed it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind.
So if we
were already flooding.
Because if the wind had blown the clouds just a slightly different way, you might have had that.
Right. But and there's not a whole lot of water rescue teams around. Jefferson has one, Morgan has none, Hampshire has 2, I think. So Frederick County, Virginia, Washington County has a couple, but when we have problems, so do they. So that's why I wanted to reach out to an area that was not covered by, that was not involved in the flooding. Smart. To get a team here. It just didn't quite work as I had requested, but that's okay.
Ed, we had Doug Copenhaver on in our first segment, and we asked what specifically making a declaration of emergency enables funding-wise for our community, and he said you might be able to better address that than he.
Well, number one, that is the first step, is have the county council president declare a state of emergency or a state of readiness. Either way we want to word that. But what that does down the road, the governor did not declare an emergency, so therefore, any resources or dollars spent, are not recoverable, unless the governor makes it. And then there's typically a federal threshold that has to be met. Even during the blizzard of Jonas, we did not meet that threshold. So, it's very difficult. The bar is set very high before the federal government will start returning those dollars back into your community. But in order for us to request resources from the state level, we have to declare a local emergency, and then we go through a program that's called E-Team, which is an electronic request for resources of whatever we may need.
You said the governor did not declare this a state of emergency. Who's the one inputting that information into the governor so he can make an intelligent decision? Well,
I think that the state emergency manager, Homeland Security emergency manager, Jimmy Jeanette, would be calling those shots.
So there's a chain of command, if you will, Jimmy to the governor?
I don't have a direct link to him. I'm sure that if I said, look, I need to talk to the director, I could probably get through to him. But we have a liaison for our district. His name is Sandy Green, and a great person, does us a great job in this region. He's my, when I need something from the state, I always inform him as well, because he can twist arms a little bit tighter sometimes than I can. If I really impress upon him, look, this is what we need and this is why we need it, and Sandy, I really need this, he will also send those requests. So, based on my request and the liaison team request, we can normally make things happen.
What's the tipping point when you make your diagnosis from when you need a declaration of things are pretty bad to an official declaration of it's an emergency? What tips that?
I think that a lot of it is when our resources are tapped. Whether it's like during the blizzard. Department of Highways, they were stretched very thin. We knew that any of our resources locally everything was going to be slowed down tremendously. So the more people we have responding, in different directions, the better response we can take care of the public.
Doug said he relied on your recommendation for that declaration of emergency. Do you consult with anybody else before you ask the council president to declare that, Ed?
Yes, I'll have a conversation with Randy.
Randy Lilly?
Yes, Randy Lilly, who is our emergency manager. And, I will typically maybe call a fire chief or two, or check with, like Randy, I had said, look, Charleston weather sends us information, but Sterling is much closer to us. So I don't depend a whole lot on Charleston weather. Give me something out of Sterling. And when Sterling says we're anticipating additional 3 to 7 inches, when he said he was concerned about Berkeley and Jefferson County, I knew it was time to take notice and go ahead and make some requests.
If we'd have gotten the high end of that, Ed, 7 inches of rain in addition to what we'd already had by Thursday, what would have been the likely result locally?
Well, we'd have had major river flooding. We'd probably still have roadways closed, right now. We would have required evacuations of some low-lying areas along the river and the creeks. We have a program, it's called MARPLOT. Even though we have a pretty good idea of where stuff is and where people are located, it's a program that we can pull up on our computers. It shows us structures based on the last census. It tells us how many people are in those houses, which allows us to prepare for a shelter. And say, okay, if we evacuate this particular area right here, we've got 150 people that may need shelters. So, it just gives us information. And, there's areas of Back Creek Valley that we know flood. There's families that are always threatened by it. And, I made the fire chief of Back Creek, I made the call to him and asked him to go and check those areas, knock on some doors, and make sure those people are vigilant of the rising water.
When did our declaration of emergency expire officially?
Yes. I kind of lose track of days every now and then. It was actually Friday afternoon we started ramping things back down.
So it was on Wednesday to Friday?
I thought it was Thursday.
Was it Thursday?
Yeah,
okay.
It was Thursday.
36 hours then or so.
Yeah, maybe even a little less than that. I brought guys in overnight to operate the boat, and because I didn't want to have to wait on that response, that we could have an immediate response with the boat in the middle of the night. And the next morning, because we did not get all that rainfall, thank God, we were able to start ramping things back down. So, by Thursday evening, we were close to being back to normal.
And again, is that a consultation with Randy Lilly to also then reverse engineer that decision, basically?
That's correct. Yeah, he'll send the emails back out, to E-Team that we're standing down.
All right, very good. Ed, nice job by you and your crew.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. But we, I've got great partners, and that's true. Everybody that gets wet out here in the middle of the day or night, they're our partners, and they do a great job.
Job well done.
Congratulations, sir.
Thanks.
Ed Gochenour, he is the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management in Berkeley County at 9:58. Final minute next.
Heroin addiction, overdoses, kids' futures at risk and growing up to become drug abusers. It's a national problem. Prevention can solve it, but where do we start? The Martinsburg Initiative is our police-school community partnership and model solution to this national problem. It's based on the science of adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, the traumatic experiences during childhood resulting in serious problems when they grow up. ACEs are caused by abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction, and they really matter. A child with 6 adverse childhood experiences is almost 50 times more likely to become a heroin user as an adult. A positive adult role model spending a few hours a month with a child can make the difference. A child with a mentor is 46% less likely to begin using illegal drugs. 46%. Mentors change lives. We need mentors. Change a life. Be a mentor. Call Project Director Tiffany Hendershot today at 304-267-3510. 304-267-3510.
Big thanks to all of our guests today, including Eddie Gochenour, Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management here in the Eastern Panhandle. Ed, have a great day. Thanks so much for coming in, man. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you. Anytime.
Tomorrow, House Majority Leader Darrell Coles among our guests.
And the Sheriff, Curdy Keller.
Curtis will be here in the 9 o'clock hour, and then Mike Height from Rotary, the big pancake breakfast. Steve Catlett later in the week on Thursday with the big Memorial Day weekend and the pools opening will be here with us with a lot of information about the pools forthcoming here. It's 10 o'clock. The Glenn Beck Show is coming up next. Dave, we're back in 22
short hours.
This is Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg. Have a great morning.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by TheraWorks Relief.